Alrighty, well, we'll start and stay cross-legged. First thing today, so y'all can close your eyes. And we'll take a few deep breaths. If you've had any allergy issues, hopefully you're able to still breathe through those. With each exhale, you're trying to let those shoulders just sag down a little bit lower. Trying to release any tension across the chest. Take a big breath in. Go ahead and drop your chin to your chest. We're going to turn the chin slightly, lifting it toward one shoulder, but keeping the head tilted forward. Taking a couple breaths, and then we'll do that the other way. Turning the head, moving the chin toward the other shoulder. Keeping the head forward though. And then turn the chin toward the center. You can lift your head, take a few more deep breaths. Take a second and push your chin back. So not lifting the chin, but giving yourself that double chin again. A couple of breaths. Relax the head, big breath in. We're going to exhale, walk the hands forward, and relax through the low back. A few easy breaths, letting those shoulder blades move away from the spine. Inhale, draw on up, and let's go on to hands and knees to start off with today. Hands under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and moving through cat and cow, so back is flat. We're going to inhale, lift your forehead and your tailbone, lower that belly button closer to the floor. Big breath in. We're going to exhale, round the back. Lift the spine toward the ceiling. Again, inhale, arch the spine. We're pulling those shoulder blades down the back. Big breath in. When you exhale, we'll round again, hugging the bubble. One more time, both ways. Inhaling, tucking that chin back. And then exhale to round. Lifting that spine up toward the ceiling. Very good. Returning that spine to neutral. Pull those shoulders down. Tuck the tailbone just a little bit so we're nice and stable through the spine. Big breath in. Exhale to send the leg out underneath you. Stretching that leg away from the middle of your body. And then we're going to cross that leg over to the opposite side, so off of the mat. And then we're turning to look at that foot. So big stretch here along the side of the waist. Okay, then we're going to bring that leg back to the center. And then same thing on the other side. Big breath in. Let's exhale, send that leg out to start. And then we're crossing that leg over to the side, turning to look. What's that foot? Big stretch along the side of the waist. Awesome. When you're ready, go ahead and bring that knee down. Let's send the knees out wide, big toes together. Hands are going to go forward and we're stretching back to open up through the sides. Just resting that forehead on the floor. As you're laying here, we're going to take both arms and move them over toward one side of the mat. So staying folded forward, we're just stretching both arms over to one side. Then repeating on the other side, walk the hands over to the opposite side of the mat. Bringing those hands back to neutral for just a couple more breaths, so hands are still down. Awesome, and then we're gonna go ahead and bring the body forward. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring the knees off to one side of the mat and flop on down. Very good, and then just moving the legs into a 90-90 shape. So front leg is straight off the front of the hip and then angled out to the side. Back leg is off the back and angled backwards. We're gonna place both hands around that front leg, get a slight forward lean. And a yawn. Inhale, come up, and let's place a hand behind us and rotate away from those legs. So if the front leg is here, we're rotating in the direction of the front leg. And then returning back over that front leg. Once again, walking those hands forward for stretching down. We're going to inhale, come up, and then we're turning toward the back leg. So reaching with one arm first, trying to crank over a little bit. If you can reach with both arms, then stretch them both back there. And then returning to that front leg one more time. Both hands are around it. We're going to fold the belly forward, stretching down as low as you're comfortable with. And you might feel that with each successive stretch here, you're getting a little lower. Okay, we're going to come on up. Give yourself a little wiggle if you need it. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. So now both legs are going to be off in the other direction. And same thing, we're making little 90-degree shapes at each knee and at the hip. We're turning toward that front leg and getting a slight forward lean. We're going to inhale to draw up, and now we're turning away from those legs. So one hand behind you, hand on top of the thigh and a twist. Couple breaths. Remember, we're not cranking around, we're just turning as far as the body wants to go and then just hanging out there. And turning back toward that front leg, both hands down, stretching over that front leg again, maybe reaching down further this time. And inhaling, coming on up. Same thing, reaching toward that back leg, leaning over. And if you can reach with both hands, and both hands are extending toward that back shin. All nice and pretzel-like. When you're ready, last time, we're gonna lean over that front leg, so turning back to the front and stretching down as far as your body wants you to go. Okay, stay here as long as you need. When you're ready, we're gonna come on up. Bring those feet together a little bit, and you can rock the knees side to side. Little windshield wipers. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go a long ways on the mat again. Let's place those hands down. And we're gonna go up into downward dog. So let's curl the toes under first. Give those toes a second to warm up if they're feeling a little bit tight. You can either extend back into like a downward puppy or go ahead and pick those hips up toward the ceiling, relaxing those heels down. Big stretch through the back of the legs. Two more breaths. Now we're gonna move the hips forward and allow those feet to scoot back slightly. We're gonna end up in a high plank. So back's gonna be nice and flat. Giving this one a couple of breaths. Keeping those hips tucked under. Awesome, we're gonna drop the knees down, sink the hips slightly. You can lift the forehead. So hips are getting closer to the mat. Then we're gonna go ahead and lay the feet flat. You can lower your body down. Forearms on the mat, and one more little lift of the chest. So we're lifting the chest, lifting the forehead, shoulders are held down. All right, so now you can lay down for just a second, either stacking both hands with your forehead on the back of the hands, or you can extend your arms out overhead, stretching through the arms. Trying to keep that neck relaxed. A couple more easy breaths. And then we're gonna bring the forearms in one more time. So forearms underneath us, elbows underneath the shoulders. We're coming up, opening, taking a few breaths, feeling those shoulder blades squeeze together. Now we're going in reverse from before. So you can place those hands down. We're gonna push up off of the mat and onto the knees for a moment. You can curl the toes under, allow the hips to sink slightly. So we're lifting through the chest, lifting through the forehead. Hips are sinking toward the mat. From there, we're gonna flatten the back out again. We're gonna move up into a high plank. So tucking those hips under now. Nice and strong through the lower belly. Give it 3 breaths. Head is in neutral, so we're looking straight down underneath us. And then we're gonna walk the feet forward just a little bit to move the hips up into downward dog. So hips go up toward the ceiling. Pulling that weight back off the hands. We're gonna walk the feet forward, walk the hands back. Take your time, spread those toes, knees forward, hips forward. And we're gonna stand up so that we don't pass out from all the blood rushing to our heads. All right, just take a couple breaths, head shoulder to shoulder, ear shoulder to shoulder. And rolling the shoulders forward. And back. Clasp the hands behind your back and open up through the chest. Okay, then release those hands. We're gonna clasp the hands again. So pinky sides up, clasping the hands, rounding through the back. Sure it's too tight. And releasing those hands, clasping the hands behind the back, opening through the chest. And one more time, clasping those hands and stretching out in front of you. All right, when you're ready, you can drop those hands down. Let's walk up toward the front of the mat. We're gonna keep the feet a shoulder width wide, send one leg back nice and long. We're gonna bend the front knee, tuck the hips under. We're gonna place the front side hand into the soft spot there above the hip bone. Backside arm's gonna come up and over. And I'm snotty. Stretching through the side of this hip and make sure you're tucking those hips under, getting a big stretch. Relax that arm, straighten up that front leg slightly, send the hips to the rear, but you can keep your head elevated so you don't have to collapse all the way down. Keep a slight bend in this front knee, just move your hips back. And we're keeping that neck in neutral, so we're not trying to crank through the head. Just allow your eyes to look directly in front of your front foot. Okay, then we're gonna push up. Let's move that back leg forward. Repeat on the other side. So sending that leg to the rear. We're gonna bend the front knee and tuck that hip under. Replacing the front side arm in that soft spot above the hip. Back side arm is gonna go up and over. Good, 2 more breaths. Take that hand, you can bring it down. Hips are gonna move to the rear and folding forward one more time. So we're keeping the tailbone lifted high. Slight bend in the knee. You should feel a big stretch here on the back of your front leg. Again, we're gonna inhale, let's go ahead. Come on up, bring that leg forward. We're gonna do a slight chest stretch, so if you're watching at home, find something you can place your hand against. You guys here can grab a wall. We're gonna place a hand behind you. Just straight off to the side, you're keeping your hand and your shoulder in line. That way you can rotate away from where your hand is based and get a big stretch through the shoulder. And through your chest. And if you want to add something to the stretch, you can even feel like you're breathing in, inhaling through your chest. So kind of lifting the chest here. Lifting the arm here. Couple of deep breaths. We're going to relax that arm and repeat on the other side. So hand goes out straight behind you. You're getting your chest as close to whatever that is as you can, so you can turn away. You might feel a stretch across your chest, maybe your shoulder or your bicep, the front part of your arm. And same thing as we inhale, we're lifting through the chest. We're going to let that go. We're going to still use the wall, or once again, if you're at home, having something to put your hands on. We're going to put the hands up nice and high. Hands nice and high. We're going to move the feet back slightly, move the hips to the rear, and sink your chest toward the floor. We're actually trying to open up through the armpits and through the shoulders. Couple of big breaths. We're going to inhale. Go ahead and lower those arms down. And for this last bit, we're going to get up by the wall. If you're at home, you can do this next to a couch or whatever. So we're placing the end of our mat up by the wall. We're going to go ahead and lower on down on the mat. So starting with just a couple of easy stretches for the hips. So laying down on the mat for a sec. You can rock the knees side to side. And then return the knees to neutral. We're going to inhale, draw the knees up toward the chest. And depending on how your hips are structured, if you keep your knees like touching, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's stretching so much as pinching in the front of your hip. So if you feel that, you can actually just hold one leg with one arm. And if they separate slightly, that's okay. All right, and then we are going to move really close to the wall here. So scoot your butt as close to the wall as you can. We're gonna do the feet up the wall thing. If you're at home, you can just drape your feet over the couch. We're going to send the feet up toward the ceiling as high as you can. Your butt doesn't actually have to be touching the wall. You know, this is exciting. And we're gonna stay here for a few breaths. We're close to our last couple minutes here. So if you wanna spend the remainder of the time with your feet up like this, you can, or if it gets really uncomfortable or you lose feeling in your feet, go ahead and just scoot away from the wall and you can lay flat for the last few minutes. You can hang out here for another moment or two. And as you decide you're done for today, you can pull your feet down if you haven't already, or stretch out and sit on up. My at-home people, thank you guys for joining us, and we'll be here again on Monday. Yes, Monday.